Welcome to the How Did Show, where interesting people answer the questions, how did I get here? And how in the hell did I get here? With your host, Donovan Corneets.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me on another great episode of the How Did Show. And we got a really special one for you today. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest. All right. So my guest today is an entrepreneur and media pro who has shattered gender and ethnic glass ceilings her entire career, including being a business owner and being in the music biz as an A&R coordinator for albums by artists like Nas, Rick Ross, Janet Jackson, and LL Cool J. Yeah, LL. All right. So she went on to be an integral part of the management team for rap superstar T.I. And on top of that, she recently co-founded C&D, the agency, a management agency dedicated to empowering minority women. Now, look, I could say a lot more, but we just don't have time for that. So she's really impressive is what I'm saying. So we're going to jump right into it. Y'all show some love for Dina Marto. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me, Donovan. That was amazing. I appreciate that.
It's what I do. It's what I do. No, I'm very thankful to have you on. I know you're a very busy person, so I'm glad to get some time out of your schedule in your wonderful kitchen there. It's looking good. I'm in front of shelves with a bunch of crap on it, so it's all good.
I do sometimes cook in this kitchen, so it works
out. There you go. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and we're going to jump right into this, all right? Yeah. This is the How Did Show, so that means we're asking a couple of how did questions, and the first one is you answering, how did I get here? So let the people know, how did you become who you are today?
Great question. Well, I'm originally from Jordan in the Middle East. I'm Jordanian Palestinian, moved to Atlanta when I was 5, always wanted to be in the music business. Started while I was in college, just networking. You know, I actually, to be honest, really started off wanting to be a singer-songwriter. Got started in the business, didn't know a single person in the music business, just started networking. And at the age of 19, I launched a entertainment PR firm, represented a lot of cool people at that time, like DJ Drama, who else? Ryan Cameron,
wow, okay.
A bunch of different people. And then I met L.A. Reid, who then handpicked and hired me to work on his team at Island Def Jam. I was in the A&R department and I ran the Atlanta office for 6 years. Like you said, I worked on a bunch of different albums and I was the right hand to the late, great Shakir Stewart. And then I left and I actually built a recording studio in Midtown Atlanta called 12 Music and Studios. And I owned and operated that for 7 years. I did artist development, talent management, some music publishing work. And then I sold the studio in 2019. I've been on T.I.'s management team for the last about 4 or 5 years. And in 2020, launched an all women led agency called C&D, the agency, where we do marketing, branding, PR support, some project management, and try to mentor the next generation of women leaders. So that is my 20-year career in a very, very short time.
Short. Wow. Yes. I think that's probably the most impressive summary I think we've ever had on the show.
Thank you.
So much in right here.
You gotta nail it down. You gotta get to the really important points. You gotta
have that elevator pitch, right? But no, that's, I mean, like I said, it's truly impressive. And that's just like a very small fraction of everything you've accomplished. So within that, I know you said you had always wanted to be in music and you didn't let me know about the whole singing thing. So we may have to revisit that possibly.
You know what? It's been a long time. You know, I started and it was so hard as a young woman and creative. And I got some opportunities on the business side and then I never looked back to the creative side. So the door is kind of open for me, but it was just a different direction or path than I actually thought you were going for it originally. Right. Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, I feel like that's something you don't lose. I feel like if the right song comes on, you're in the car.
Listen, I'm a master at karaoke. Don't let me do Whitney Houston. How will I know? That's my karaoke jam. I get it in, here and there. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. No, I have to revisit that. But no, that's really cool. I didn't realize that part of it. So what gave you your interest in music in the first place?
Oh, I don't know. It was just always a love, a passion of mine. I could remember singing to my dolls when I was like, a little girl and wanting to be back then, it was Mariah Carey, Paula Abdul, Whitney Houston,
Oh, okay.
and like Madonna. And that was who I was like, oh, it was just my love. And somehow I got all the way deep into hip hop and trap music along the
Natural
way.
progression from Mariah
Natural
Carey.
Mariah
Right, the trap.
Carey to the trap,
Well, you came to ATL, so I mean,
and it was bound to happen for
it was
sure.
about to happen for sure. All right. So I know that we went through really briefly about everything that you've accomplished, and through all of that, what would you say is something that you can really say, I hang my hat on this. I'm truly proud that this is something that I was able to create.
I love that I was able to create a staple in Atlanta for creators, like an event, a space where people with the studio, where people could come and be a community. I really nurtured talent in there. We created hits in there, and it was the vibe and the environment was just not like any other studio. So I really feel very proud of what I accomplished building that, not knowing a single thing about building a recording studio, getting it up and running, figuring out how to hire staff, getting it operated.
So all of that was just from the ground up.
From the ground up, and
Wow.
never knew a thing about it. But I know how to be a businesswoman, and I know how to build a team. So that's what I did.
I love it. I love it. And I know you mentioned being on T.I.'s management team, and that's kind of how our connection comes from with his show on BET, Grand Hustle.
Right.
I was actually the promo voice for that show. So that's kind of the connection there with T.I.
You have a great radio voice,
Well, thank you very much. Yes. And I mean, it was, let's see if I can remember. Grand Hustle, only on BET. Right. So
amazing. I love it.
So that was that. And I actually have had one of the guests, I had Jonathan Torres. He's been on the show. He was part of the cast, and trying to get some other cast members as well. I've been able to kind of be friends with a few people. So that was just like a great experience for me to
like the winner, Crystal. We got to get Crystal on there.
And Crystal, and let's see, that's right. Crystal Gardner was the winner. I'm trying to get Jonathan on, so a few people on there. But
Crystal's
yes.
Thing. We just hosted an all women's dinner last night presented by Morgan Stanley, and it was absolutely awesome. 20 of the most powerful women in different industries in Atlanta. So Crystal's my girl.
Crystal is dope. And I got to meet her at an event, a separate event. And right from the beginning, she's like, "Oh my God, that was you. What's that?" Like it was so she was like really dope from the beginning. But yeah, that's all right. Don't get me started on that show, because that was just a whole cool experience. All right. And so the last thing for this half of the show is, what would you say, like being part of something like T.I.'s career? I would assume that has exposed you to some maybe, wild occurrences, or maybe just some funny things. Were there any funny moments or really unexpected moments as you maybe were traveling or being on the road? Or I know you started up his Expeditiously podcast.
Yeah, I was just going to say that podcast took a whole turn of its own. I mean, we had no idea. We felt it, but we didn't know it was going to be so huge. And it's one of my greatest accomplishments with Tip is to have helped produce that show with him, and to really launch it with him and be #1 on Apple Podcast, and
that's incredible.
Have all the success, and to book all that talent that we've had, everybody from like Tyler Perry to Master P to
Mike Tyson, I know was on there.
Mike Tyson. I mean, the list is so long, and we really helping build that, and watching, and even people still today, like, where is it? Are we bringing it back? We are going to bring it back, but we're just working things out. And it's dope. And it's so I didn't really even understand the power of podcasting until all of that happened. So it's so cool what podcasting has become. So no, that's one of my favorite things that I've done with Tip, actually.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's cool to see that. Believe me, I know, like, podcasting and coming up with like this show and getting people on, it's definitely work, right? Especially and it's just me kind of working on it at this point. So shout out to you for creating something that just blew up from the beginning and the whole team. So yes.
Listen, I can't take all the credit. Now, Tip is a superstar. So when he's
a
great speaker,
yes.
he's great at interviewing. He knows what he's doing as a professional. He's just really good at it, and people like to hear him. So
he's definitely an interesting dude to listen to. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I won't get into it now, but he actually, when I met him at the 1-year anniversary for Grand Hustle, the show, he gave me one of the most incredible pieces of advice ever, unexpectedly, when we met. And so I just always have been very thankful for that. He kind of put something really in perspective for me, and it's helped me immensely in my career and just how I view life.
What did he say?
Well,
you're allowed to know. Why can't we know? I want to hear it.
Well, so because it's a little embarrassing about why he gave me this advice, but no, I was of course I was excited to meet him. I had been a fan since I'm serious, right? And so I met him, and I had kind of wanted to take a photo with him, right? And so in my excitement, I just completely lost all, I don't know. I wasn't really starstruck, but I was like kind of goofy with it. I was like, oh, let's take a selfie. And so, obviously, he is. He was just like, hey, chill, man. Like, all right. He's like, look, we got photographers in here, and their job is to take pictures. He's like, and if they're going to be in here taking photos, let's just be in a conversation and let it happen organically, let it happen naturally. He said, you come in a room, even if there's people that are more successful than you, or in a room that you want to network in, he's like, basically act like you belong there, right? Yeah. And he's like, if you're approaching a celebrity or whomever, it could be anybody, and you're all overzealous of take a selfie, he said, that's kind of a turn off. You know what I mean? It's something that makes you not want to deal with that person. But if you just have a conversation and act like you're supposed to be there, which if you're here, you belong here, right? You got an invitation somehow, you wouldn't be here. He's like, just be in that moment as someone that belongs here, and everything else that'll happen from there will happen naturally, and because you're there in the moment. And so I just kind of stopped, and I was like, oh my goodness. I felt like such an idiot for even coming across that way, because I'm not usually that dude, but I don't know, in the moment, I just kind of, like you said, lost my common sense. And so, immediately after that, we just started having a random conversation, for 5-10 minutes. Yeah. And sure enough, some really great random candid photos came from it that got posted online, and that I could have as a memory of me meeting him that night. So anyway, that was one of the best pieces of advice when it comes to being in the industry and networking and
just moving around. No, for sure. You'll get your moment.
Part of the moment. Yeah.
Our moment. And it's so interesting because moving around with him, I've seen some people, just fans, not people that are necessarily working with him, ask for pictures in the most inopportune times, and just almost disrespectful to a point where
bombard you.
Eating dinner with his daughter and his family, and then you still want to nobody wants to deal with people when they're eating food. It's just so interesting how people don't use their just rationale when it comes to stuff like that, because what they just get so excited and what they want, and they're not thinking he's a human being
person.
He needs some time off. He can't always be on. And so that's, I've seen it go really bad.
Well, I will say in my defense, he was by himself, just kind of chilling at one of the little tables. So I didn't bum rush him while he's trying to eat or anything. But it was still, I had way too much energy for the situation. And I got a little too hyped. And, he's always just like, hey, chill. I'm talking about. And I was just like, okay, let me just pull back. And then he ended up being one of the coolest experiences, real good dude to talk to. And that was it. So yes, that's my TI advice story. And it's just embarrassing because I was just I don't know why I fangirled on him. I have no reason. I have no explanation.
Okay.
No excuse. But anyway, well, thank you so much for explaining that and for answering the question, how did I get here? So now that means it's time for spinning the wheel of what? And we're gonna bring this out right here. Hey, we're gonna bring this out. Don't be nervous now.
All right.
I purposefully didn't tell you what the question topics were, because I want you to kind of be put on the spot here.
Okay, here we go.
So we're gonna spin this thing, and then you just have to answer honestly. All right.
All right, here we go.
World record. All right.
World record.
World record is if you could set a world record in anything, what would it be? And it doesn't have to be necessarily realistic or like what's an actual category. What's something in your life that you feel you either could set or you want to set a world record in?
I have never ever thought about that, like a world record.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let me think.
We asked the hard questions on the How Did Show.
I guess so. It's like, so, I mean, it's so random because I don't have like these random, I think that's going to sound boring. I don't know. Cause I'm like, I think I'm a pretty good cook. Like I wouldn't mind like setting a world record of like a certain dish or like something being like amazing, but also, I don't know, maybe, okay, I got it.
Oh, we got something.
Got something. I would love to do like a motivational speech and like kind of like conference thing, like almost a TED talk, but like to the biggest audience anybody's ever seen.
Great answer.
You like that?
I love it.
That's
great
pretty
answer.
cool, right? Yeah.
Set the world record for most attendees at a TED talk where you're motivating people. Maybe like, and especially since you seem to be so in tune with helping women out, like the biggest crowd of women ever assembled.
That would be cool.
Getting inspired by a TED talk.
Not just in the crowd, but we can do it virtually too. Why not?
Like a telecast. I love it. Like
I could even get in the metaverse.
Outside.
I could get in the metaverse with it if we need to.
I think we just had a break.
I want to set the record for this world and the meta world.
And like, see, that's how you know that you have been shattering glass ceilings. Like you even shattered a virtual ceiling right here on the How Did Show.
We have no limitations over here. Why not?
Absolutely. Sky's the limit. I love it. Excellent answer. See, look at that. You started a little shaky with it. And you're like,
I didn't know.
Nope.
I'm like, yeah, no. Okay. Got it.
I love it. All right. No, that's a really great answer. I had no problems with that at all. All right. So now we come to the second half of the show. And that's when you answer the question, how in the hell did I get here? So what would be a story about an event, an occurrence, something that happened that really like threw you either in a good or bad way or silly or fun way and made you say, Dina, how the hell did I get here?
Oh man, I got to think about that. So, I mean, and we kind of touched on it before a little bit, but like just me being this Palestinian woman, you know, not having anything to do with the music business. And then here I come all of a sudden, all the way deep into hip hop, like, but not just hip hop, like trap music in the middle of the growth and the super success of trap music and all these different artists that I've had my ability to be part of their careers. And then so when I started the studio, I built it with a business partner. And then it was, you know, we decided to go our separate ways and I bought the studio outright and I owned it myself. And I literally every single month I would look up when the first would come around and I'm like, how the hell am I going to make payroll this month? Like, how am I going to do this? And I don't know how I just was able to survive every single day after day after day after day, like just figuring out how to run this thing and make it actually work. I'm telling you, like, I don't know how. Like, I woke up one day and I had this studio and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Yeah. Like now it's on me. And I had to just figure it out. Like I had to hustle. I had to rely on my relationships and I had to really figure out how to build a team and make it work. So like, I think that was very interesting. That was it. Very interesting.
You know what? That is actually, I think, a side of it that maybe people don't really talk about as much. Like everybody's like, oh, you know, I'm the boss. I'm doing this. I got this. I run that. But then you don't see the side of like, and then you see it and you realize like, oh yeah, I got this too. Like, congratulations. And then everybody leaves. The champagne is gone. The balloons are down. You're like, what the hell do I like? No, oh my God.
And let me tell you, here's the scary part. I went through all my life savings. Like I wiped my 401k to figure it out. So it's scary. You're living on the edge. You have no like safety net at all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, and to be honest, though, I mean, sometimes that's what it takes. Like you have to almost be in a place of desperation to force yourself to like no excuses. You're just going to do whatever you got to do to figure out. And that's when you really figure out, do you have what it takes? And it looks like you kind of did. It looks like you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially when you're responsible for other people, like you said, like payroll, like, oh my gosh, like, these are other people's jobs.
Listen, I had over 10 people on payroll and over like 30 interns at one time.
Wow.
And the studio ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that includes Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Like people, didn't matter. People always wanted to be in the studio.
Right.
So a constant, there was no days off. So I don't know, for 7 years, it was a lot.
That was your life.
That was my entire life.
Well,
yes.
good for you that you were able to get out and sell the business, right? Like got something back for it.
Right. And it happened right before COVID, honestly. And I was just like, whoa. But although I think for recording studios, COVID didn't really have a crazy effect on it.
Right.
So yeah, no, it was fine. I think I would have survived. I survived that long.
I was gonna say, considering your track record, you probably would have still been killing it. But no, that's a great story. And I mean, another testament to like your hard work, your fortitude, and your ability to just make things happen. So look at you, fist bump for you. Give me some.
Yeah.
Throw it up. Boom.
Sometimes I'll wake up and I'm like, there's cool moments of my career where it's like I'm at P. Diddy's house at like at a party, and I'm just like, oh, it's everybody's here. Or I'm like, on a red carpet with Tip somewhere, he's getting an award. Or I'm at Farrakhan's house, sitting there with him for 3 hours, listening to him talk. Like that was a special moment. So like, there's moments where, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, like I really do this, it's happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're in it, you're just in it, but you look back at it and you're like, oh, I was really cool.
There. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's important to every now and then. It's okay to stop and acknowledge an accomplishment, right? And you really stop and say, okay, this is awesome. I helped make this happen. I'm a part of this, and nothing I ever do can take this away. Mm-hmm. Like I'm chilling with P. Diddy. No biggie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Farrakhan's house. Yeah, whatever. I'm here. I belong here. It's all good. So yeah, that is awesome. See, look at that. You didn't have an answer, and then you gave me like 5. See, that's what I'm talking about. Just
it's a slow start, and then it's
slow burn. No, I got it. I got it. So what's next for you? What's next for Dina Marto? I know you have the marketing agency, which is amazing, and that's great. Congratulations with that. But even beyond that, what would you say is next for you, or what would you like to be next?
I want to build this agency so that it's one of the top firms in the nation, and really do the work of mentorship. But also, I would love to travel the world speaking and like sharing my wisdom and advice with people, especially
setting world records.
Yes, setting world records, especially for women.
Yeah.
I think next for me is definitely like working smarter, not harder, doing a lot more investing and just like being part of just cool ideas and things that, when you're in it and you're trying to get to where you're trying to go, you got to do the hard work. And it's not that you're not doing the hard work now, but it's just a little different. And you get to like do it with really cool people. And so I think it's just building on that. And then of course, getting married, having kids, having a family, that's like obviously next for me. So I'm just excited about the next steps.
Well, I'm excited for you, and I know it's going to be amazing, like everything else you've done. So yes, I'm excited to see what you're going to do next. So before we let you go,
what's your next step? I mean, I know you're building the podcast, but what is your next move?
Oh, well, I just don't. Okay, here we go. So what I would love to happen is, yes, I would love to be able to grow this show. This is season 3, and I would love to grow the following of it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't do the show because like, I just want to have a show, because like I'm busy enough without this. But I feel really inspired by letting people see stories and the other sides of people that have, strong following, whether that's social media or in the real world. And everything is all about accomplishments and
Not an
accolades.
success.
Yeah. And it's always about, this. And don't get me wrong. That's why we ask, how did I get here? It is important to who you are. However, I mean, that's what you do, but that's not necessarily who you are. And I like to give people a glimpse into who people are. Let's hear stories about the real you, right? And things that you've done, things that you're proud of, things that have been funny or exciting or whatever. And then that would be the first thing. And then I would like to be able to grow my voiceover business as well. I mean, that's my main bread and butter, right? And to bigger and better. And yeah, that I just like you, I want to be more into investing, right? Maybe some commercial real estate. I'm thinking of getting into some other kinds of business to build generational wealth. For my children, I have 2 sons, and I would love to have something to pass on to them. So yeah, that's
amazing.
Those would be my 3 goals: voiceover expansion, this show. And I mean, not saying, you do have experience with successful shows. I'm just saying. And then yeah, investing and being more on the entrepreneurial side for sure.
Love it. Well, it sounds,
man, you turned the microphone on to me. Like,
well, I have a little work in this.
Okay. All right. No, I feel you. So before I let you go, by the way, that was unexpected, but yes, before I let you go, let people know where they can find you on social media, what you got going on, and where people can check you out.
So I am on social media at Miss Marto, MISSMARTO. I also have a website, dinamarto.com, DINAMARTO, where you can contact me there for anything. I do mentoring sessions. Of course, you have to pay, but it is very helpful. So a lot of people contact me about that. And just contact me. I always respond. Somebody on my team will always respond.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you all the best. I wish you more and more success. And I truly mean it when I say I appreciate you being on the show. It really means a lot. And I think it's so cool to show, like I said, another side of Miss Marto that maybe people didn't realize. And
thank you for having me, for sure.
Absolutely. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to hear you singing. But
I think we'll do it next. We'll do part 2.
We'll do part 2, and it'll be like a karaoke, like sing, follow the word type thing. Well, yes, thank you so much for being on, and thank everyone out there for watching another great episode of The How Did Show. I'll check you on the next one. Peace. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me and having some fun as we interview some really, really interesting people. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and be on the lookout for more episodes of The How Did Show.